It's September 28th, 2021. I am still in a place that flies this flag. They make sounds, but on my repoggle, the cryptic characteristics that I coptically can read and cognitively can sound out says United States, and then on my repoggle it says North America. On my repoggle it does not say United States. On my repoggle it just says North America. And then I further scan in and it says New York. Now, this is what's really scary. In century 20, I arrived century 19, decade 7, plus 8 years. This is century 20, plus 2 decade, plus 1 year. There's a company, a compañía, that is called Proctor, Proctor, and Gamble, Gamble. It's not supposed to be a casino gamble. But there's a word my grandfather used to say. It was schifoso. And he also would say things like, it's better than a punch on the nose, Pochi. Right. So, and then if you were at the table and he wanted your attention, but he didn't want to use his most prized possession of words to get your attention, he would put his spoon in his hot, whatever he was drinking. And then when you weren't looking, he would just place it on the top of your hand ever so slightly. And you would jump because it wasn't burning hot, but it was hot enough to get your attention in the nicest way possible at the table. When a man needs the attention of the whole room, doesn't want to say things because you should know better, right? On reading a room. So that happened. So now here we are on the schifoso version in this 20th century of dingbats and wingnuts. Apparently there's a Descendant that was readily available for camera interview called Epstein. And these two descendants, the news journalist will tell you, have no shares in or ownership in the company. How could you have an ancestor to descendant relationship with no ancestors being part of the ownership of the company any longer? How does that even work in your humanness?
Welcome back to CBS Morning. Some unlikely voices are highlighting what they say is a big danger to our forest and our planet from items that we use every single day. Now, Procter & Gamble makes some of the most popular paper products you see in America. Now, two descendants of the
paper towels, toilet paper, tissue.
Products are made. Anna Warner's here with an interview that you'll see only on CBS Mornings. I'm looking
Those are the symbols over there.
Every single day. Good to see you.
That's right, Gail. Good to see you too. You know, these
here's the descendants.
They have no ownership in the company, but they feel a personal obligation to go public about this. They're relatives of the founder, a brother and sister, speaking out for the first time to say in this time of climate change, they believe the company founded by their ancestor is putting profits over the planet.
Procter & Gamble has a long history in America.
You will love just like soap.
And it's 29-year-old Justine Epstein and her 26-year-old brother Jules.
Now, I'm just curious. With this civil uprising and the children not knowing anything, while the custodial estate planners were working on their level of whatever, When you stole from all of the children that were the founders' originals, what did you tell them exactly? Because I wasn't given a letter or told anything. There was no announcement made. There was no how to stop anything. But it looks to me like it went into some custodial argument. Some form of shareholder arrangement was met, but then you had to have money to buy shares in the company to still get a vote on things at corporate level when you grew into some conglomerate and moved away from the family tribal method of clansmen and proper leadership, and broke society and humanity completely. So now, then it opened up to environmental issues, sourcing problems, like which forest would we grab and how was toilet paper and tissues made. It's a pulp product, got it, but the bark on the tree doesn't seem like the best place unless it's got some process with it. But again, like as these evolutionary stages happen, who's protecting the children in the real world? I'm in Bayside Station, Bayside, New York, 11361. The money from Procter & Gamble does not help me in my entire life frame. But if I searched Ancestry or within a family tree range of whatever these are, close enough that I should be at least objectified or subjected with some form of curiosity statement to keep me in the loop of what's going on. I mean, I don't even know. I don't have contacts. I have no way of finding out who's running Procter & Gamble, how they even pick the CEO, CFO, COO. How does that work?
Feeney's history too. They're proud sixth-generation descendants of James Gamble, who began the company with William Proctor.
We grew up always knowing, as far back as I can remember, that we were related to.
I grew up not related to anybody. I knew that at age 9 when Nicholas came, he said, I'm the one that you're going to marry. I said, great. I said, now how is that going to work? My only question, when are you coming back for me? How is that going to work? And like, how long? Because I really didn't want to stay in New York. Who we're related to and stuff, I'm related to Nicholas. That's it.
To the founders of Procter & Gamble.
Today, P&G is a roughly $350 billion corporation with household brands including Febreze, Gillette, Crest, and Charmin.
It's still really a shock in some ways to realize just
All that is a branding tree to add together some unity with a couple of other branches of the same family tree. But I don't have access to any of my family members.
how far-reaching their products really are.
That growth has benefited them, but more recently brought concerns about their...
And this is just one, just like Gayle King is just one name that I use as a respected, trusted household name in these parts. Might not be worldwide household name. I'm fine with that. It's what's on this television while I'm subjected here in New York with I need some kind of anchor points in order to convey a message. So that's whoever at studio chose to sit in a hot seat and present some information, some talking points.
their family's legacy.
I started to see Procter & Gamble products on boycott lists last summer, and
Boycott lists, where do you obtain those? Who gives those out? Like, I would ask NYPD, but they seem rather bothered by all of the nonsensical questions of importance, because, like, their answers are always, like, go online. Like, that's everybody. Go online for what? The maxi pad, front? Like, and here's the other thing. I'm AIP. There's an anterior, There's a posterior and then there's an interior. What I don't understand is the anterior, when it's face to face. I never seem to get anything I need as far as human intellect and an interaction. And then when I leave, whatever goes on in the posterior, I'm not present for. So I have no idea how that interacts within the neural network and how things move. And then there's the internal post of I'm just still in the wrong position even after all these years. And I don't know how to fix the anterior, posterior, and move my interior into the correct alignment for Nicholas to come get me.
I wanted to know more.
For example, the NRDC, an environmental group, gave P&G.
I don't know how you get this level of news. Who distributes that news? How do people even find these things? I mean, like, it seems rather important that through my life frame, I should have access to these things and know what these things are. Except these symbolic, I don't know, what do you call them, unions, communication reps, or whatever. They have no purpose in my world because they've never made themselves known. Like, they make a mention here, great, you are at 580,000 days into a really simple appearance. Why'd you wait so long before you flashed some fancy symbols and a branding piece onto a television linked up with my daily whereabouts?
G's popular Charmin an F for sustainability.
Sweet pillows of softness.
This is soft.
Soft, yes, but some of the wood pulp used to make it comes from Canada's boreal forest, one of the world's remaining intact forests, considered key in the fight against climate change.
The absurdity
This is
of
articulation.
cutting down such an essential ecosystem for a product that we will use one time and it will go into our septic systems or into the sewage, to me is really just absurd.
That's one reason they say they decided to speak out for the very first time.
I understand the way that corporations behave. I know that their bottom line is profit.
But in this case, it's personal.
Yeah. It's easy to eye roll at a big corporation and say we can't do anything about it. In our case, we looked at each other and were like, we can't.
So last October, they sent this letter, shown publicly here for the first time and shared exclusively with CBS News,
That
to
says
P&G's Chief
2020.
Executive Officer David Taylor, saying while they take pride in the company's innovations, they are deeply concerned to learn that their production is coming at a terrible price to the planet and its inhabitants. 88 descendants from both the Proctor and Gamble families signed it, asking P&G to take full responsibility.
How do you find out the family tree and the descendants and how far you are from wherever you need to know in order to find some purpose or some sustainability or some way out of the homeless shelter world for which I was delivered?
Responsibility to address its impacts on forests, communities, and the climate crisis.
So you wrote this letter.
We actually requested in that letter to meet with the CEO.
But instead of a meeting with Taylor, they say, P&G offered a presentation.
Is that what you wanted?
No.
To me, it felt a little bit like
A phone with no contacts at like PG, some kind of media company, some kind of does no good. The device itself, it can connect if you have the right numbers and the right algorithms. But holding one prisoner in some elaborate labyrinth and topiary maze just for one's own amusement, which is what this really feels like on my part, I don't understand why anyone at any level would allow this to go on.
PR solution, basically, to say, we're going to tell you what we're already doing because we think it's enough.
P&G officials confirmed no meeting with Taylor was offered, but said they've met with Descendants on a range of important topics, including responsible sourcing.
Which Descendants? And who's doing the arguing, and is there articulation involved in the conversations? Because nobody has broached me, and nobody has come to even articulate at this point.
In regard to toilet paper, P&G says its wood pulp sourcing absolutely prohibits deforestation and estimates less than 1% of its global wood pulp sourcing.
I personally called Jason Peter Romer, 1976, and Anthony Tiefrio, 1975, toilet paper. That's my key op word for the relationship of being stuck in this disgusting toilet bowl called New York. So there is articulation there.
Sourcing includes intact forest. But it's not just the Descendants urging P&G to do better.
While Procter & Gamble has made some changes to its forest policies, it has not addressed the fundamental issue.
Thomas Peterson is with Green Century Equity Fund, an investment firm that last year put a resolution in front of P&G's shareholders, asking the company to increase its efforts to eliminate deforestation, for example, by using more recycled materials.
So now you're saying I need some useless shareholder that's not even related to me, that's not a descendant, that has no care in the world about my personal position, to make a vote to get me to where I need to be with Nicholas after they already broke the system in order to get their shares that they're holding in some kind of a vote that they don't want to give up. I'm just curious. I want to make sure the humans are on the same page in how this works for cognitive logic.
Materials.
They are not changing their plan to continue sourcing 100% virgin fiber for their tissue products. And that's a major source of concern for us that they haven't changed there.
The resolution passed with 67% of shareholders approving it.
I have no idea what any of this articulates out to or equates out
says
to.
it's focused on developing innovations.
There's no way for me to follow it.
Using virgin forest fiber for its toilet paper. That not doing so would hinder its ability to make paper products, significantly impacting its business.
But this is the form of communication that humans are using, which is why nothing ever gets done, because they don't know what the real subject is, what the real content is, what the real postulate is, and what it articulates out to, and then what it's, the summation is in actual result, actionable and motionable results.
Generations from now.
And then you put emotions in it at human level and forget about it.
P&G says it is committed to a public investment of $20 million over 5 years of innovation in non-wood fibers, but these Descendants say with the pace of climate change, that's not enough and it's not happening fast enough.
So environmentalists say making toilet paper out of trees is just an environmental catastrophe. But Procter & Gamble says they're committed to responsible sourcing.
Right.
What are they doing in that area?
Right, so P&G will tell you that they source from responsibly managed forest areas, but what these Descendants are saying is, look, taking any trees out of these intact forests, these are the forests that remain on Earth to help keep carbon in, protect against climate change. And they're saying, look, the climate emergency is here. You know, you can't just say, well, we're researching, we're doing this, you know, we're doing the best we can, we're working on it. They're like working.
That's what I hear all the time. We're researching it. We have to do more research on this. We have to look at reports on this. On what?
Working on it's not enough.
Time is literally running out.
Time's running out.
Time's running
You gotta
out.
get on it.
I was relieved during your piece. I checked the toilet paper that I use at home. It's called plant paper. It uses bamboo.
That's a new thing, bamboo, right?
An innovation.
I've never even heard at my level of human. He's got a network that he works within. I don't have that. So bamboo toilet paper, I've never heard of it, and it has not hit the product shelves in the homeless world, like the homeless shelter world that I'm currently existing in.
Tony, you're doing your part. Want to go around the table and endorse our various paper products?
I love that they're speaking up, though, Anna. What are other family members saying? I was wondering what parents.
You know, they had these descendants sign on, as you saw, like some 90, it's actually 96 descendants who signed on, everybody from grandfathers all the way down. And there's actually a tradition, their dad spoke up about some P&G practices, I think it was back in the 70s.
Wow.
So, you know, there's, you know, they're not all going public, but these two decided to take this step, which is a big step for them.
Commitment for that. Yeah. Anna, thank you very much. Coming up, why British drivers are lining up for gas, bringing back bad memories from the 1970s. And you can always get the morning's news by subscribing to our CBS. Sorry, bad memories from the 1970s was a phrase just bubbling in my mind.
Yeah.
Okay. CBS This Morning, the CBS On The Go podcast from CBS Mornings.
I don't know what a podcast is, and I'm not educating myself on more whatever technology. So I'm star 1978, star 8378, Nicole Cattaruzza, and it's Bayside Station, Bayside, New York, 11361, inside the U.S.A. somewhere. And it's Earth, solar system, Milky Way, universe, galaxy is broken.